set up. But we have something special today. Now, of course, we have the Superior Singers for their annual concert with us. They are here every Memorial Day. Brian, I guess we've been doing this 4 or 5 years that you've been coming here. And we always get a great turnout, have a lot of fun. But today we have something a little special, so I want to start out a little bit earlier. One of the things I think you, at least as a historian, I hear at least once a year is I'll read an article or there'll be something in the newspaper or online or what have you, and they'll be lamenting about kids don't know history. Well, I think the problem is that we don't realize is that kids actually know what we teach them and what we encourage them to learn. And there's a great program that is, it's a national program. It's been around for several decades now. It's called the History Day program. And we found out not too long ago that there was a special group of kids out of the Holy Rosary School over in Duluth who were participating in History Day. There's something like 40,000 students in Minnesota's History Day competition, and several of the students from Holy Rosary actually advanced on to state competition. If you notice coming through the lobby today, we had a couple of those projects on display there. You can do display projects for History Day, or you can also do performance pieces. Well, we are very lucky today in that we were able to talk one of those state qualifiers to come in and do her performance piece for you. And so today we're going to have Jackie Black in just a moment or two give you her program on the Women's Air Force Service Pilots. But before I turn it over to Jackie, and believe me, I'm turning it over to her because this is a young lady with a lot of confidence, just a couple announcecements on some things that are coming up very soon. We will have our 3rd annual community open house on Wednesday, June 5th from 9 to 5. Like the last 2 years, we're going to give you a reduced price on admission. $5 gets you in and gets you lunch from the grill. So you can't beat that with a stick, folks. The first 2 years we've done it, we've had almost 400 people here each year. We're looking for a crowd that big again this year, June 5th from 9 to 5. Come on down. We'll have hamburgers and hot dogs from the grill, and you'll get a chance to tour the museum, all for just $5. And the proceeds from admissions that day will benefit our education program. The other thing I just want to announce real quickly, oh, and I should mention, I'm sorry, we have sponsors for that. Very generous sponsors helping us make that happen. MediQuest Insurance Services, Super One Foods, Burnix Pepsi, FSM Food Service Marketplace, and of course Campbell Lumber helps us with so much. The other thing to announce, we are going to be having our June edition of our Cold War film series on June 18th. The summertime edition of the Cold War films will be in the evening. So Tuesday, June 18th at 7 p.m., we are going to be screening that Cold War black comedy classic, Dr. Strangelove. So if you remember watching that back in the early 60s and you haven't seen it for a while, make some plans to come on down and join us for that event. Enough with the announcements, though. Again, we have one of 40,000 participants in Minnesota History Day. And I tell you, I've been chatting with Jackie a little bit here, and it's just a real joy. She's gregarious, she's excited about her topic matter, and she's really excited to share it with you. So this is going to be like our little intro program prior to the Superior Singers going on. And so if you'll please join me in welcoming Jackie Black.
Hi everyone, so as Bob told you, my project is on the Women Air Force Service Pilots who broke down the barriers of flight for women in military aviation. So I'm just going to go ahead and start. Before the WASP was established, women rarely flew airplanes with the exception of the few courageous women such as Amelia Earhart and Anne Lindbergh, both famous for defying conventional feminine behavior. Men typically had the jobs of manufacturing and flying airplanes. Jacqueline Cochran, a pioneer American aviator, considered to be one of the most gifting racing pilots of her generation, recognized the prejudice in this and saw an opportunity in World War II to help the war effort with women and free up able-bodied men to fight on the front lines. In this performance, I'll be playing the part of Elizabeth Betty Walsh-Jophus, former WASP. I'm going to take you back in time to show you what it was really like to be a WASP. They faced many dangerous tasks and obstacles, but they were doing what they loved most, flying. It all started with Jacqueline Cochran. A true adventurer at heart, Jackie Cochran first took to the air in 1932. Only 3 years later, she entered the Bendix Transcontinental Air Race. Finally, in 1938, she set the speed record, placing first. She was awarded the Harmon Trophy by the First Lady, Eleanor Roosevelt. Let's fast forward to December 7th, 1941, when I picked up the daily newspaper. Oh my goodness! The Japanese have bombed Pearl Harbor. This is the start of yet another war? What is this going to mean for the United States? Well, millions of men were called into the armed forces, and thousands were trained as pilots. By 1943, so many men had been lost in combat that instructor and ferry pilots based stateside were called to replace them. This left huge vacancies for testing and ferrying new planes coming off the production line. Jackie Cochran suggested to General Hap Arnold that women could replace the stateside men as pilots. The media, general public, and Congress all considered this to be ridiculous. Women can't fly, and especially not warplanes, or so they thought. Right after my college graduation in 1943, I joined an all-male flying club in Faribault, Minnesota. Hi everyone, my name is Betty Wall, and I would love to join your flying club. Yes, I know I'm a girl, but one of your members took me for my first ride in an airplane, and it was love at first flight. What? It's $100 to join? That's 2 months' pay. Well, I'll take a loan out of the bank and pay it back as soon as I can. Holy smokes, here's an ad looking for women to fly in the military. That sure is a first. Come join WASP. Must have a pilot's license with 35 hours? Darn it, I only have. Better get going. Hey, instructor, let's prop this plane and get in the air. Well, I've sold in the Cub and built up my flight time. This is a blast, and I'm heading in for my physical. Of course, I'm too short. I need to be 5'3". Oh look, an eagle. Now measure me. Yay, I passed. I headed down to Avenger Field, Sweetwater, Texas. 25,000 of us applied, but only 1,800 were accepted. As we looked down the dusty road, most of us were thinking to ourselves, what have we gotten ourselves into? We lived in the barracks in the hot Texas sun with no air conditioning. We PT'd and marched everywhere. We had to wear the smallest men's coveralls because there were no women's flight suits.
Way out in West Texas where the water is sweet, with cactus and rattlesnakes 6 feet deep. They cut off the top of a big old hill, and they named it Avenger Field. What a field. Too dusty, not fit for humans. They built the barracks, 6 cots to a room, filled them with cadets, but they found out soon those boys couldn't take it too hot, no air, so they moved them out and put the gals in there. Thought we couldn't take it, go home to mama, dream on, fly boys, dream on. We got the stuff, the right stuff, we got the stuff.
To keep in touch, we had to write letters to our parents. Dear Mom, it's been a long 6 months, and training is tough. But so far, I've flown the Fairchild PT-19, the Vultee BT-15, and the AT-6. We have to yell to be heard by our instructors, though, as there aren't any intercoms or headsets. Since training is tough, only 1,074 of us graduated and earned our wings. I was lucky. I hope to see you soon. Love, Betty. I was sad to see as most of my classmates headed off to ferry new planes from factories to training locations, but I was really excited. I headed up to Las Vegas Army Airfield Base and flew a B-26 bomber. Yes, sir. Woman Air Force Service Pilot Betty Wall reporting for duty, sir. What would you like me to bomb with this B-26 bomber, sir? Excuse me? You want me to tow a target behind a plane while fighter pilots shoot at me? Do they ever miss and hit the tow plane? Not often. Okay, hand me the keys. Sadly, I lost 38 of my fellow WASPs due to aircraft accidents. At another pilot's base, their plane crashed shortly after takeoff. Sugar was found in the gas tanks. Sabotage by male mechanics was suspected, although no further investigation was done. By 1944, the United States had gained air superiority over both Japan and Germany, and combat losses in the air were decreasing. Male aviators were being returned to the States and being trained for ground duties. Congress forced General Hap Arnold to shut down the program, and the WASP were disbanded on December 20th, 1944. It was a lousy Christmas. After the war, I applied to Northwest Airlines, but was turned down because any record of the WASP flying was sealed and forgotten by the government. I returned home to Faribault, Minnesota, got married, and raised a family, just as I was expected to. All my uniforms and souvenirs were boxed up and stored in the attic. After my husband passed away and my children were in college, I helped lobby the Congress to recognize the WASPs as veterans. Finally, in 1979, we were awarded the veteran status. Then, in March 2010, we were awarded the Congressional Gold Medal. It was an honor. The Secretary of Air Force said, "Almost 70 years ago, the Women Air Force Service Pilots were disbanded with little fanfare, but this ceremony was a way to make things right for those trailblazers. As a result of your conviction and your devotion to duty, from that time onward, women would forever be a part of the United States military aviation." More than 200 of my surviving WASPs attended the event, most of them wearing their World War II era uniforms. We were also featured on the cover of the Washington Post. It was so fun to get back together with the gals. Now, I am proud to see women flying regularly in the military and civilian world. They fly as Air Force Thunderbirds and as Navy Blue Angels, fighter and bomber pilots, and even as women astronauts. Sometimes I even get fan mail from them, like this one from Lieutenant Colonel Nicole Malowski. Dear Liz, wait, I gotta get my reading glasses on. Much better. Dear Liz, you are such an inspiration. After my Air Force Thunderbird show, I cannot believe you waited an hour in line to meet me when really you are the hero. Thank you for opening the doors of military aviation for women. With all my respect, Fifi. She's such a sweetheart. Jackie Cochran went on to set over 200 aviation speed records, more than any other person in history. For her work to support the war, she was awarded the Distinguished Service Medal in 1945. She was also inducted into the Aviation Hall of Fame in 1971. She was truly a wonderful and visionary woman to lead the WASPs, and I was so grateful I was able to meet her. And as Jackie Black, it was especially memorable for me to be able to meet Liz Strophus last year at the Wings of the North Air Expo. She agreed for me to be able to interview her in February, and she is as sharp and as lovable as she was almost 70 years ago, even at 93 years of age. She even went for a flight in the Cirrus and flew it just like her World War II planes. Thank you, Liz Strophus, and the Women Air Force Service Pilots for your part in history. And if there are any questions about the Woman Air Force Service pilots, feel free to ask me. Yes, you in the red.
I have a question about you. Are you in competition, and when do you compete next?
Well, actually, I already competed at the state competition. That was May 4th, and I competed there, and I performed my play 3 times in about 3 hours. So it was very exhausting, but all the hard work paid off because I got an honorable mention there. And my friends who are in 8th grade, they also did a group performance on the Vietnam War and how it was the first televised war. They were going to perform today, but they were not able to make it, but they got 3rd place, and they're alternates to nationals, so.
Wow.
Yeah. Any other questions? Yes.
How many pilots are left? Are there many?
How many WASPs are left? Probably under 100. A lot of them, some died and some are old, and so they died of old age and stuff, but there are a few strong survivors, and I was so lucky to meet Liz Trophus, so that was an honor. She is so nice. She's really active, too. Travels all over. Any other questions? Well, thank you for coming, everyone, and look around and enjoy your visit.